welcome back. We are into session 41 across the Atlantic. What number? Number 14 of our Cold Cthulhu game. It is currently Friday, February 9th, 1923. The investigators find themselves on a boat. To roll back to Thursday for a little bit of a recap, there was a stakeout planned in the evening. Watts was staking out the lower decks. Nora, Brady, and Wright were on the bowport and starboard side, respectively. A splash was heard from the stern by Brady, and Hughes was seen on the deck. Strange wet person in a sodden uniform appeared on the deck near Wright. Wright went to get Brady. Nora confronts it, sanity roll that she fails, and stumbles back because it is some sort of strange fish man. Nora blasts the hybrid deep one with a critical success on her handgun. A second and a third appear on the deck at that time. You manage to rush the third and injure it after dispatching the second. Watts tries to intimidate him to get some information out of him. He says something about Dagon desiring the artifact. Before they can get any more information out of them, the investigators are surprised by the hybrid deep one escaping by casting a spell where he creates a cloud of fog and jumps off the side of the ship, back into the water. The bursar and crewmen appear on the deck at this time and question Watts, while most of the investigators otherwise scurry off without being seen. Watts claims the gunshots were from the deep ones, fails to convince the crew otherwise, but they don't have any real reason to know exactly what went on since they weren't there. He gets patted down. He has no weapons on him, so that further allays their suspicions. They head back to Baker's room and check in with Draper. They just try to talk about what you say about the gunfire, get the captain and or Mrs. Hastings on your side, stick to your story that none of you were armed. Brady and then Watts return late. You talk about hiding the weapons and whether or not you should look at the actual artifact. Draper at this point mentions that he's a friend of his had touched a similar artifact and ended up in Arkham Asylum. You get called up to the bridge. The captain can't be reached in his room, which is very unusual, and a woman has been seen with him. A woman he has been seen with is in her room. Bursar asks if the investigators are armed. Head down after Roland gets his lockpicking tools. You pick the lock to the captain's door. You open the door into the captain's room. This is the middle of the night now. The door opens into darkness, an eerie blue glow coming from the bed. You look around and see in the dimly lit prostrate form of a man lying on the bed. The room is very salty and humid and has been tossed. You discover quickly that the box that you had placed in the room is missing, as is the postcard that had been placed in the room from his paramour. The captain is covered in some kind of weird, strange goop that causes like loss of feeling and sensation when it touches the skin. You manage to wash him off, getting him into the shower, and call for a nurse. You guys go back and forth speaking with the bursar and the first mate and the captain when he comes around. And basically the captain has amnesia, does not remember speaking with you before, and doesn't remember actually even the boat setting out. Remembers going to dinner with a woman in New York that he provides a rough description of, but otherwise seems to have lost any memory or never gotten any memory of the period between that and the point where you wash him up. Wright catches him up on the break-in, the crewman being killed, the door broken out, the items being gone, and the item that they gave him into his cabin, also in particular, being gone. Also that the deep ones were seen on the ship. The women has been keeping him enthralled, and generally talking about some of the mythos. You guys, from there, basically cross-question the captain a little bit to see whether he seems to be lying. He does not. Post a guard on the first mate's room where the captain goes to rest. Bursar will let the senior staff know that the captain is unwell and won't be on deck for some time. You decide talk about whether you should post guards to find Cuthbert or go speak to her tomorrow. You head back to Nora's room, update her on what happened. She is in there smoking as usual and deciding whether or not she should light her lamp. Throw the goo at her. It does not smash. She manages to catch it. Fortunate for her and everybody else. And then you guys go to sleep. Watts dreams, goes into a library, finds a Greek book that accounts for dealings with Atlanteans. The book has some pictures about a city, the people, and some pictures of hybrid deep ones. Properly, the next morning, the boat is rocking more seriously in the storm as the rain continues and the waves get higher. You discuss what you're going to do next and the events of the night before, about how Hughes was seen on the deck, and your short list of potential things to do next that you had as priorities were speak with Cuthbert, speak with Hughes, speak with Hastings, speak with the captain, speak with the bursar, set some kind of other trap, look into the dead fishman in more details, and Flinders. What do you do about Flinders? Anything you want to add?
Nothing specifically to add, but I feel like talking to Flinders and potentially questioning the captain should probably wait for Dan because Watts should be involved in both of those things. But looking into the dead fishman, that would probably be like a Nora thing as she was there for previous autopsies and stuff. She's kind of not that squeamish. Somebody else could join her potentially for that. Did we determine, I feel like we did, but did we determine that the captain still seemed like, I'll wait for him to finish dying, still seemed somewhat aware of like supernatural things?
The captain's still aware of supernatural things?
Well, like, because all of our interactions with him were in theory after he was possessed or whatever happened to him. Did he still seem to have some familiarity with like supernatural shit in general, or was that entirely coming from the possessed side of whatever was happening? Because he didn't meet us otherwise.
No. Sorry. Yes, I guess is the word to say. Basically, you had talked to him a bit about like your experiences, and he did not seem overly shocked by them as he might be. You also had spoken with the first mate and the bursar, or I think one of them at least, about having been with the captain for some period of time, stationed on the same vessels, who had also provided at least some high-level confirmation about them basically going on adventures and doing things.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. I just wanted to confirm because that would change things. Okay, then yes, I think Nora would suggest in their early morning discussions that perhaps some more in-depth scientific knowledge of these fish creatures would be useful at this juncture. I'd like to take a closer look at some of these bodies and see if they bear as much likeness to humans as they seem to.
I assume all of you are probably gathered in one of the rooms, probably Nora's room with the case.
Okay. So we're just assuming that this would be next morning, kind of the crack of dawn. They wake up and go to one of the rooms. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because the last thing we ended off with was, I think basically, it was that like there was the dream, and then I believe I didn't actually get a chance to get all the way through the video. That you had left off like in camera discussing what kind of things you'd be doing next, but we had not actually got to like scene next morning, but like that was basically next on the list. So presumably you're all waking up. If there's anything you guys want to do before that, presumably we'll roll back to Watts as to what he wants to say about his dream, and I believe him showing up with a book in his hand when he's here.
Okay.
And the first mate had taken over kind of the captain's duties while he was incapacitated, right?
That is correct. Yes, they were telling the rest of the bridge crew that the captain was unwell, and that excuse me, that the first mate will be covering for him for the time being.
Alrighty.
And then I guess for the sake of Dan and Watts, I'll just keep what happened between us redacted until he returns.
Yeah, I don't think anything that I don't think anything that like from the book or whatever is going to be like immediately game changing. So we can always just
Yeah.
like go back and play that out.
Yeah, I don't think I would have anything to do prior to meeting up, so I would probably head towards the room.
Sorry, we're chasing down the dog. I think she's got flips. she's like and she's running out of the room. Sorry. Emily's got it. Okay, there we go. Gross.
Now she's coming.
Sorry, shit. Where were we? Yes, we can roll back to that. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
That I was just gonna keep what happened between me and Watts hush hush until he returned. That it wasn't significant.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That if he tells you, we'll say that for whatever reason it is revealed later.
Yeah, it's his truth to tell, anyways. And then I guess just adding to Nora, if that dialogue's continuing, that it would be good to look at the dead fishman, because to see if there was any part of the body that still was human, or maybe a transition phase.
So, had Brady told the rest of the group about seeing Hughes the night before?
I think he had at least told some of you.
I think I definitely mentioned it to Wright, and I think I might have mentioned it in the group whenever we met up at the end of the night.
I think that would be another thing to speak with
Yeah.
Hughes. Be another thing to do. Maybe Brady and Wright go do that, and then I guess Roland can tag along with Baker to see the body.
Yeah, we saw Hughes on the deck. Definitely something we need to talk about.
Yeah, there was some splashy sounds, and then him walking onto the boat deck and then disappearing.
Pretty sus.
Indeed, that's something that should probably be looked into as well. Perhaps Flinders can wait for the moment then. The other matters at hand seem more important. I will go seek out where they have moved these bodies to. If someone wants to join me, I could use help with at least carrying all my equipment. She'll gesture towards her camera. If the others want to look into Mr. Hughes, I think we have potentially trusted him a little too easily in this endeavor. He knew more than he should have, and I fear we took him at face value when he seemed to be offering us aid.
We should definitely travel in Paris.
Indeed, I don't think anyone should be left alone, except in the rooms with adequate protection. Sort of glance at Watts and like put some extra ammo down on the dresser nearby, so she knows that he is armed at least. And then head out to, I don't know, whatever seems the most likely place they would keep these bodies.
Well,
if I have no idea, then I guess go look for the first mate to ask him.
Yeah, as to whether you know where they'd store bodies. What kind of roll would you do for that?
I don't know, I feel like she'd assume they would probably want to refrigerate them.
Yeah, that's a reasonable. I mean, you could like do just like your own assumptions, like without rolling something.
This is true. Okay, well, is there? Yeah, I don't know. Is there some sort of like meat locker, cold storage type place on this kind of ship, or is this?
Yeah, I mean they serve fine foods, including various seafood and stuff, and meat, which they certainly don't catch on the way or butcher. So you could surmise that there is some kind of cold storage in the kitchens, and presumably additional cold storage down in the hold.
But would they put dead fishmen with the food, or would they be too squeamish for that? I feel like she would just go look for the first mate and ask him where the bodies were, and save time.
I'll offer to tag along and carry any extra equipment she needs.
Alrighty. And then what are y'all doing otherwise, just in case timing-wise it works out differently?
I imagine it'd probably be best for us to poke at Hughes and maybe be a little bit more guarded.
You have
Benjamin,
a good story to tell him to mislead him and make him think that you trust him.
yeah, I'm thinking, kind of being a bit crestfallen. Maybe we told him and made a show of putting it over there, but we didn't expect people to actually take it. Maybe that was actually the thing. Maybe the bursar knew that we'd moved it up there, and maybe he got there first and has messed with it. I don't know. But Benjamin, would you mind coming with me to seek out Hughes?
Yeah, I had planned on meeting him with you too. I think it's pretty important that we confront him about last night. Though we may have to be a little subtle about it. Maybe not lean into it as heavy, but ask him maybe what he was doing rather than what we saw him doing.
What exactly did you see?
Not much, but I heard before everything happened, I heard a splash, what sounded like someone diving in, or it was just a loud splash sound. And then shortly after, I saw Hughes come up on deck, and thereafter he disappeared into the ship, and I am unsure where he went, but
He was coming up after the splash?
yes.
Did he seem like he was looking after the sound, or
To my recollection, it didn't look like he was concerned about any sounds. I think it's to deny that they're both correlated, like they're both um to deny that he wasn't the person that made the splash, I think would be wrong. I think it's definitely a possibility, but we should give him at least um
you think
some
he could have
slack
been
there.
dumping something?
He could have been dumping something, or he could have come from he could have, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd rather than speculate, I'd rather maybe try and find a few more bits of evidence to maybe wrap something together.
Regardless, I think he's burned to us. We we fed him the bait, and it worked maybe a little too well.
And it's possible that he's playing us too.
We did tell him to be obvious, and we were obvious when we were moving things. So
Yeah. And I guess his information, like he's given us a little bit of information, but it hasn't been anything that has been too far out of the way from what we already know.
our return on investment has been a bit shallow.
And I'm running out of pocket change.
Yeah, imagine if we can get him to commit to something a bit more substantial, or simply send him on a goose chase. I guess we'll have to play it by ear.
Yeah, I agree.
Use some breakfast first, though. Start getting cleaned up for heading out.
So Nora plus Draper straight to finding Fishman. Go find First Mate, Wright and Brady to breakfast, and then to find Hughes.
Yes.
All right. I guess we'll start with Wright and Brady to breakfast. That you get yourselves ready and you head out into the hall. Making your way down, you find that the ocean liner is both noisier and quieter than usual. Noisier in the sense that the rocking and flickering of lights and creaking of the boat as it vacillates, tipping back and forth in the waves. Is much more obvious than it was in quieter seas. Quieter in the sense that fewer people are out from their rooms to head to breakfast. Not terribly surprising with a passenger liner, I suppose. Given the rough seas, people may be a little less likely to want to go about the vessel, and may likely be sending friends or loved ones to fetch meals and bring them back to the rooms. You do see, though, some people on your way down there who look particularly queasy, obviously, from the rocking of the boat. As you get down to the room, I don't know what she's doing down here. I think she's just sniffing about. Sorry. Sorry. As you get down to the galley, you enter and find it not deserted, but certainly not busy. There is a quiet susurrus of people talking at various tables in low voices. And you, excuse me, do see that the kitchen is in full operation. But obviously, people are making their way carefully from table to table as they deal with the rocking of the boat back and forth.
Grab the standard and then some coffee. Take a seat a little bit away from other people.
Same. Brady will grab a pastry, a scone, or something of that sort, and then some coffee, and make his way to find some seating.
Do we see Miss Cuthbert about?
Taking a moment before you seat to look around the room, you do not speak Cuthbert. Sorry, you do not see Cuthbert sitting in the room, but you do spot unusually Mrs. Hastings, who seems to be eagerly tucking into a meal. Unlike previous days where she was very much not a morning person and had not been seen at breakfast.
Give Benjamin an eyebrow. Perhaps we could get or kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, we probably should at least say hello. Looking at Miss Hastings, does she appear to be any type of way? Does she look like she's also queasy, sick, or?
She seems to be in unusually good fettle. She is sitting with her lady in waiting, Miss Green, and no sign of Cox, but he is not usually seen with her at meal times. She is sitting in one of the prime seats and eating a full breakfast.
I'll walk by and extend a greeting. Miss Hastings, Miss Green.
She nods, swallowing her food, and says, "It's like, Mr. Wright, it's good to see you. Fine morning, isn't it?"
It could certainly be worse. I believe Miss Baker and Mr. Watts were wanting to talk to you.
They were they? Well, I'd certainly like to speak with Mr. Watts once more. I do have some findings to share regarding our shared interest in the book that I have been studying. I dare say that Miss Baker, you, Mr. Brady, and Mr. Wright may all be interested in the findings that I have.
That we would. I would definitely be interested in some of the
Miss
findings. Maybe things that you've found or seen that's of significance in there, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we want to set up a time for that.
Mr. Watts will be over the moon. What would be a good place to meet?
Well, I dare say that certainly the deck is no place to be meeting at the moment. She gestures with a fork at the rain, getting a bit of side eye from her lady in waiting, Miss Green, as she spoons another bit of food into her mouth and swallows. She says, "It's like, well, I am so excited." But I think it's something for us to be able to have a good time to sit down and go over together. Maybe early this afternoon, we could meet after lunch.
Very well. I'll pass along the word.
Find me in the library here on board. It's a small place, but it does have a open desk for us to use. I can spread my things out there.
Very well.
That sounds nice.
I head off to our table.
Have a good morning, Miss Hastings, Miss Green.
Give me a spot hidden.
Both of us or
Psychology roll?
one?
I'd say one of you guys.
Okay. I'll let you do it. If you
Yeah, which of you guys wants to do one of those rolls?
I'll do a psych roll. See what
Alright.
we're working with. One less than spot hidden, but it makes more sense. Giving her a once over, see if she seems herself.
So, Mrs. Hastings is unusually pepped up for the early morning, given your experiences with her before, and Miss Green seems rather apprehensive, more so than usual, in that she obviously is generally concerned about the welfare of her lady that she takes care of. You can tell that there's something simmering there that she is more concerned than usual.
Okay, all right. After we sit down, I'll kind of glance back at their table. The screen seems more on edge than usual. Perhaps we should catch her in private and ask what's got her on edge.
I wonder if they've noticed some peculiar things happening as of recent. Probably not to the extent we have, but paint me surprised.
Imagine Miss Hastings is a bit in over her head. I hope she hasn't done anything drastic with her book.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I dig into my my breakfast and nurse the coffee.
Well, with that, we will flip over to Nora and Draper, who are heading to find the first mate. Do you have any particular plans to track down the first mate?
I don't know. Head to the bridge and start there. See if he's not there, they should know where he is. I figure.
You make your way up the stairs to the top level. One of the there is a crewman on guard at the top of the stairs for access to the bridge level.
Is the first mate on the bridge? We really must discuss our next steps.
Ma'am, sir, the bridge is off limits for the time being, given the high seas. I should ask you to return inside.
Please just let the first mate know that Miss Baker and Mr. Draper are here to speak with him. We do need to discuss some rather urgent matters.
Give me I don't know, fast talk or whatever it is. Fast talk it is. He says, with the forceful delivery and quick response, he is taken aback briefly and says, "One moment, stay here and hold on. We don't want to see you go tumbling off the side." I will note that the staircase up to the level from the outside that you'd likely be taking is a little precarious. He turns around and walks a few steps over, and you hear him rap on a door and speak some words through the storm into the bridge before returning, and says, "The first mate will see you. Now come up carefully."
Nora gives him a nod and grabs onto the banister and carefully makes her way up.
Do this then.
You can see very much the stormy seas that the boat is going through. Lightning cracks in the distance, and the sky is a roiling mass of darkness, mirrored by a black sea below. White foamy tips smash into the side of the boat as it heaves to and fro. Lights dangle within the bridge, casting a warm glow from inside. As you enter, you are soaked from crossing up to the bridge and across the small gangway to get indoors. But upon entering, you find warmth within, as there are obviously concerned and focused bridge members keeping the boat afloat and steering an even course through these high seas.
Nora sort of steps through the door back into the bridge. He turns back. Well, it's a good thing I didn't bring Mr. Watts. We have some discussions we must have. Sort of turns to the first mate. I don't know if there's somewhere better that we should go, but I would like to speak to you about some of the oddities on board lately.
Nods and says, "Follow me back to the captain's office," and turns around and says, and yells out and says, "Talbot, you have the bridge. Make sure that you let me know if anything unusual happens." And he turns and opens the door, beckoning you through to the captain's office in the back of the bridge.
I'll follow him through and wait to close the door after Mr. Draper.
The two of you enter, and the first mate comes in after you, closing the door with a solid click, and beckons you to sit on the other side of the desk as he takes the captain's chair, and says, "It's like, well, as last I checked in on him, the captain was sleeping soundly. I did not catch much sleep myself last night, filling in for him, but well, I'll survive till later on, and I'm sure the crew can last without me. I'll sleep on the cot here to make sure that I'm close by. Now, what have you found, if anything, in the intervening period since we, well, not too many hours ago, spoke last?"
Nothing terribly new, but we have decided a few courses of actions for what we must investigate next. I would like to see wherever you are keeping these strange creatures that have come on board the ship. Surely the bodies have been preserved somewhere, and we would like to investigate them, see what we can learn about them and their origins.
He says, yes, we recovered the 2 bodies that were left on deck. You may apparently made quick work of them. He says, despite your companions' protestations that they shot each other, it seemed to find that hard to believe. And, well, we all know that we're armed at this point. Anyway, it is what it is. And I trust you'll be circumspect about your carrying of such items upon the ship. Anyway, the bodies, well, they must be kept somewhere cold. You'll find them stored down below in the main cold storage for food in the down in the bottom decks. You'll have to go down through the aft compartment rather than the way that you would have gone to the general storage for baggage that you saw when the break-in happened, but it's not too far off through the steerage quarters. I'll send one of the I'll send a boy with you to with the keys to let you in.
Very good, thank you. We'll take some photographs and see what we can learn of these creatures. Perhaps it will give us a leg up in the future. If you are able to speak with the captain, please do send word to us. One of us should likely be there to see what he remembers.
Absolutely, I'll be in touch if there's anything to tell you. He was sleeping last I checked, as I said. I'm sure he'll be awake soon, and well, here's hoping he makes a full recovery. We could use his steady hand at the wheel. I'm more capable of keeping the vessel on its course, but certainly if there's anybody who has experience in rough waters, it is he, and I'd be happy to see him here on the bridge once more.
Indeed, the timing of this storm is a little too convenient, perhaps. We'll let you know if we discover anything, but if you can spare someone to bring us down to the storage now, we may as well have a look. I have my camera and everything with me.
He nods and says, one moment, and he puts his head out the door, and you hear him yell out, and a young lad, probably no older than 18, pokes his face in, fresh-faced, and he says, take them down to the cold storage in the back for the food. They're to have a look at the bodies that we stored down there. Make sure that no onlookers have an opportunity to gawk. We don't want any more rumors spreading around the ship than there already are.
Thank you for your assistance, as always. We'll be in touch. She'll sort of stand and follow the boy out of the room.
You said we would be going through steerage?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure that I can get to my gun rather easily as we go through that area. Just in case.
Can't be too careful around poor people.
Well, I mean, there's the two people that we know
It's
specifically.
just a funny. All right, so the young lad says, "Right this way, sir, ma'am," and leads you down through the internal access hatch that takes you down the internal stairs, taking you down several levels into the steerage level. And starting to head down the passage. Is there anything you're looking for, want to ask, want to investigate as you're making your way down there?
I would mainly be looking out for those two people that we know of that are in the steerage.
As you make your way down, there are, much like your compatriots found out, relatively few people out and about. You don't see anybody super familiar. There is a bit of a hubbub in the mess hall and steerage, given that it is closer quarters than the first class mess hall. But you don't have much of an opportunity to particularly investigate as you're walking past, not through. You hear some sounds of retching of people who are clearly quite seasick from within the bathrooms that are quite crowded in the lower levels. People at this point obviously are hesitant to go out on deck to relieve themselves if they're feeling sick, given the weather and the tipping of the boat. The lights every once in a while flicker, and you hear the lashing of rain upon the decks above, even through a couple layers and the outside. Sorry, just the rain noises make him to go pee. You continue on your way with relatively little to see as you make your way through. Finding your way to a similar door to the one you saw before that leads down into a lower level in the back. For reference, the way that generally boats were constructed, you would have different bulkheads throughout the ship, particularly in the lower levels, that would separate it into sections to prevent flooding from going from one area to another. The engines being farther towards the back, but then there's still storage that's like more central. The boy pulls out the large key ring, flipping through it, fumbling with it, and trying several different keys on the door, and says, "Hold on a moment. I'm sure one of these is correct." And he keeps trying to ram different keys into the door, and like many of them don't even fit at all. Clearly aren't the correct key. Before he pulls out a larger one, and is like, "Oh, this is the one!" And he shoves it in there, and with a large click, the bolt goes, and he's able to turn the crank on the bulkhead door, and with a creaking noise, it opens inwards. Dimmer light shines from the stair down below, and he says, "You'll find the door to the cold storage on the left down there. If you don't mind, ma'am, sir, I prefer not to go down. I heard a little bit from the other crew members, and I'd rather not see what is down there. So, well, you can find your way out without the keys. I'll lock up behind you, and just make sure that you set the latch on your way back out, please."
Just to be clear, we won't be locked down here if you close this behind us.
I don't think so.
Not good enough. You come with us or you give us the keys. Those are your options.
He looks scared and says, I'll stand at the top of the stairs."
Unfortunately, not good enough. If you become frightened, I don't know what you'll do. And I don't trust you at this point. You come with us or you give us the keys.
Give me an intimidate roll.
Alright, she's not great at that.
Please no, ma'am. I'll stay on the inside at the top of the stairs.
I'll say, you don't have to look at anything. We just want to make sure that we don't get trapped.
Shouldn't get trapped down there. We always want people to be able to get out.
Okay. Sit 2 steps down right here. If I hear you move, you will regret it.
Like moments after turning the corner. He's like, "All right, I'll stay. I'll stay there. Let's head on in." Could you at least toss me some jerky?
Perhaps, if you don't abandon us immediately.
Full stomach will keep me here, I'm sure.
Unlikely. Either way, we'll find our way out eventually. And if we have to find our way out, and you have left us here, you will be much, much more scared at that point than you are right now. I guarantee it. And she'll head down the stairs, lighting up a cigarette as she goes.
Oh my god. You head down into the dimly lit corridor and find the corridor with several doors on either side, a few to the left and a few to the right. And they are not locked. They simply are rotating deadbolt doors that you can find your way into. You look back and see at the top of the stairs, the young lad is pushing the door closed with a click and standing on the inside, not the outside.
Okay.
It's like immediately leaves.
Nora will look up at him and do the sort of and continue towards the door
said,
that he indicated.
You said it was dimly lit? Like how dimly lit? Like I should probably pull out a flashlight or something like that?
You don't need a flashlight. It's a little brighter than that. But they're clearly like, 30-watt bulbs or something. Rather interspersed.
Maybe when we're actually looking at the body itself.
Yeah, so opening the room, there is like a light switch that you can turn on that will brighten the place up more considerably.
All right, I guess we will head in and uncover the bodies. And Nora will start setting up to take pictures unless something happens.
Opening the door, so you can open the door and it's initially dark within the room, but there's a light switch to flip on that lights it up relatively brightly. You see two burlap wrapped bodies lying straight in the center of the floor with various rows of shelves all along the side stacked high with frozen food. There are some full-on carcasses of meat that have been butchered that are hanging from hooks above. But the bodies lie in a central space open upon the floor in the center.
Does it smell bad in here at this point, or have you not really had time?
Give me a spell check. No, it smells a little bit ripe in there. Definitely a bit of a salty smell, more so than you have elsewhere on the ship, but not considerably so.
Rowan was like prepared to cover his nose, but seems it's all right.
Sorry, coughing. Yeah, the room seems relatively safe and well kept. The bodies have in the sacks have some staining on them from where they have obviously been bleeding, and there's a little bit of a puddle around on the floor, frozen in place from the bit of blood that's come out, but not a large amount. And so, Nora, you were unwrapping the bodies.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, hi Pussycat. If I recall correctly, you shot one of them in the head, and the other one was just felled with like regular bullets.
That sounds right, yeah.
So one of them, as you unwrap them, one of them is gruesomely missing much of its upper part of its skull. The latter is has an intact head, but the torso has several bullet holes in it. Looking closely, without going into full on autopsy, they have semi-webbed fingers and they have webbed toes. The boots having been removed, they are still wearing pants and shirts, uniform from the uniform. The uniform jackets having been removed, as are the hats that they were wearing. Obviously, one of them can't wear a hat at all. The features, they have thick bulbous necks that go up to their head with very little gradation. The skin is like very pale and wan, almost bluish in hue. There are scales in various places, but it looks like it's clearly sort of a transformational process where they are not fully covered in scales. They have different like bits and pieces of their body that have started to grow scales, and it's slowly spreading across them, or at least was until their untimely deaths. Their mouths are downturned in a bit of a horrified, fishy visage, and their eyes are poking out of their skulls, or well, one of them, bulbous and also rather fishy in nature, with large, dark pupils as it comes forward out of the eye socket.
Do I have any reaction to them? I don't think Roland's seen them before.
So I was actually going to say, I don't think you rolled a sanity roll when you saw them because you were far away on the deck. And so at this point, you should...
I never saw them. Period.
Oh no,
I thought
you got. Oh, you stayed in the room. I thought you got called out.
No.
No, everybody else got called out, and you stayed behind. So yes, you need to make a sanity roll.
All right. Just barely.
With a success, you reel back for a moment from what you are seeing. Your mind struggling to comprehend the strange nature of these fishmen, but you steel your nerves and manage to hold yourself together, forcing yourself to look upon them and realizing that they seem like more men than fish. And while they are in some strange transformational state, they are not too far from you in nature.
I'll just, after regaining my composure, I'll say, you all's description of these did not do them justice.
Horrific, aren't they? Rather unpleasant to run across unexpectedly, but in these conditions, it's somehow almost worse. Anyway, let's get as many photographs as we can. I'd rather not spend too much long in this room with them.
I agree.
I will try and get some like sort of full body shots, and then some close-ups of some of the weirder stuff, like the bulbous eyes and the patches of scales and stuff like that.
Do we see? Did you mention any like gills or anything on them anywhere?
That would take a little closer inspection. If you would like to do a proper inspection of the body, you can make, if you can do an actual autopsy roll, absolutely. Otherwise, I believe there's some more generic rules for investigation. Is there something else that we kind of in between? I guess like medicine or even first aid.
Let's see. First aid's 30.
First aid would be like a real kind of out there, like you'd have to get a pretty good, probably like a solid hard success to really make much of it. I think it's kind of like a round peg square hole rule. Medicine would be more proper, and then like obviously like science / biology / that type of thing would be more really spot on in terms of analyzing this thing.
So unless you have something more appropriate, I have really good first aid, so I can try. But if you have something that makes more sense, then you should.
My medicine is 1.
Me too. Like I have like an occult of 5, so like I don't really have anything more appropriate.
Yeah, I guess I could help you with your first aid.
We both look at it a bunch of times. We're like, well, that doesn't look normal.
Just put some band-aids on the bullet holes.
It's a fish person.
Yeah.
Any helping with a bonus or anything?
Yeah, I guess sure. You can each roll, or she can roll twice, and we'll see if you do particularly better in terms of your first aid poking around.
I'll give you a bonus. since
A
yours
bit of a
is so much
stretch.
better.
Well, with 2 successes, I will say you poke and prod around the bodies, and yeah, they seem like weird fishmen. You do manage to discover that they are both men, at least in terms of anatomically, by like checking their pants. And beyond that, you find some things by poking around their neck that look like they might be gills. I don't know, they're like slit type things, but like, are they really gills? You're not an expert. You also notice as you poke around on the one that has a head that its ears have also like little like flappy things on them too. But like what those are, just different, not normal ears. So yeah, basically, like a little bit more insight into their anatomy from a purely amateur perspective. But like, yeah, you don't get any like groundbreaking insights.
Okay. I will try and take some pictures of the weirder stuff, as I said, for other people to assist identifying potentially. Do you want me to roll for the?
I guess you can roll photography for just how good of photographs you take, because it is a challenging thing at this point.
I had another question. Like under the shirt, does it look like the transformation was coming inside out or outside in, or is it like just kind of like a random how the growth was going, the transformation?
Checking out the body in more detail, yeah, there isn't like a clear pattern like they were like bottom up or top down. They're not like mermaids where they were like fish part, human part, or vice versa. They seem to have like parts that are like splotchy and more like like scaly, and parts that are less. And maybe if you had like the head still available for the other one, the comparison might tell you a little bit more in terms of the progression. But beyond that, you would need to see more specimens to try and discern any kind of pattern to how the transformation is taking place.
Makes sense. Other than that, I'll just mostly try to stay out of the way of the pictures.
Sorry, what was that?
I said other than that, I just mostly try to stay out of the way of Nora taking the pictures.
Nora takes some very good pictures. Her heart success in photography. She is a skilled photographer and will be more skilled next time when she levels up. So you're able to acquire a bunch of photos. You can feel the rocking of the boat, but it is less obvious down this far into the hold. During this process, you hear a voice pipe up from above and say, "Almost done down there. Remember, bring me some jerky."
Nora will let out a horrible gurgling sound for a moment just to see what happens.
You hear, "Ah!"
Like, I'm fine. I'm toying with you, child. I'll bring you your jerky. Just give us a moment.
Any more weird noises and I'm out of here.
I guess-
Children these days are such cowards.
I guess one of the things I could do while she's doing the photos is look for jerky down here or something.
All right, give me an investigation roll. Or spot hidden, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there is a investigation.
Yeah, I think spot hidden's kind of the closest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think spot hidden is like the thing. You search high and low. It becomes apparent that if there is jerky, it is not stored here. Thinking about it more, jerky is a dry good that doesn't need to be frozen.
Yeah, we're in the wrong place for that. That's okay.
Do I find anything that would be edible? Like, just something to give him?
Find some frozen meat and a fish.
Could just
I mean, the
set us
other
with
doors
up
are
on
not
the
locked,
fishman.
right? We could just go like wander around, which maybe we should. We just see what they've got. Maybe they have some like, you know, delicious.
You're gonna find the secret room of Fishman. Just open a door. It's just like entirely filled of live fishmen playing poker who turn and look at you.
And that's when we would want some grenades. Wait, we're on a ship. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. There are other rooms down here you could go poke around, I suppose, but also there's a lot of rooms. There was like 6 doors or something?
4.
I'll look into
Pictures
one
take a while at this point.
like directly across the hall from the one that we went into. It's like the door opposite the one that we looked at. I'll peek in there.
The room across is also a cold storage. You find more meat, fish, and like cold storage type, like frozen vegetables and things that are stored away there. No bodies.
I'll just give like a sigh and then leave and shut the door and do the thing that he said, the kid said. To
The
make
next
sure
two?
it shuts. Yeah.
Oh, and then make sure it clicks shut. Yeah. Yeah, you like and like turn it and make sure that it clicks into place. It's securely fastened. If you want to go and check the next 2 rooms, they are not cold storage. They have dry goods.
Yeah, I'll check those two as well.
You open one that is much larger area that has larger rows of shelves that opens into like the back compartment. It is filled with dried goods, and if you take a look around in here, you will find a big box of jerky.
I'll take a little bit. Just put it in my pocket and then kind of look around a little bit to see if I see anything strange out of the ordinary.
Taking a good look around, it is pretty average. I mean, there's a lot of standard things around like wheat and flour and coffee and tea and like some of the like a lot of the things that they use every day, as well as some more unusual specialty items. I mean, there isn't like a ton of jerky down here, and some of the things that are possibly like menu items for different points in the voyage. Certain kinds of like fruits that are going to take a little while longer to ripen, that sort of thing. But like nothing that really stands out as like particularly unusual.
All right. And then anything in the other room as well.
And the final room is cold but not frozen storage, in which you find dairy products, eggs, things like that they are keeping cool without bringing the temperature down too much. Ripe fruit, that sort of thing. It is a slightly larger room than the frozen storage, but not as big as the dry storage. And you can see that they've certainly made headway on the eggs and dairy, though there's plenty more of it since obviously a lot of people eating eggs for breakfast, and it goes into a lot of different recipes. And it's a pretty impressive amount of food, given the number of people on the boat that they need to keep there to be able to supply people with the types of food that they want.
There's nothing out of the ordinary. Just
No, but again, nothing out of the ordinary. Definitely the most out of the ordinary thing here is obviously dead bodies in the main room. If you want to like really go searching around, you can give me a spot hidden for each of these rooms overall to see whether you like uncover any secret stash of something. But that would really take you like a little while of like digging around in here, and you have nothing that really like perusing catches your interest.
No, with that I'll leave. I'll go back to the kid, pull out the jerky and hand it to him and say, "Here, should just be a couple more minutes. Thanks for sticking around."
Like, thanks! And he like grabs it and bites into it and starts chewing away happily. He's like, turkey! It'll do.
I'm already just like heading back to the
Just left. Like, kids. So, Nora, you've investigated the bodies and taken a bunch of photos. Anything more that you'd like to do before we cut away?
No, I think that's it.
All right. So we will return to Mr. Wright and Mr. Brady, who have finished their breakfast. You are presumably heading down to steerage to try and find Mr. Hughes?
Yeah.
Correct.
Making your way down below, I won't repeat ad nauseum, but you, speaking of nauseum, you certainly do hear the sounds of people who are being sick, which is a little more obvious in the cramped quarters of steerage class. And you make your way into the more cramped galley of the lower decks where there are people eating. Looking across the room, you see Mr. Hughes animatedly talking with two young ladies with a mouthful of food and waving about with his spoon.
Do the ladies look any particular way in the are they dressed a certain way? Do they have like red lipstick? I guess maybe would be something to mention, or
You'll have to get a bit closer, but
tattoos or-
presumably you will. As you get closer, they seem like two relatively proper young ladies of the lower decks who are laughing politely at his antics, but do not seem to be particularly enthralled by his excited telling of whatever story it is that he's relaying.
I think Wright just lights up a cigarette and waits for him to finish whatever he's talking about.
Are you like coming in behind him, or would he have seen you?
Not well. I mean, just find a corner and patiently smoke while he's doing whatever he's doing.
He continues chatting away, and after about 5 minutes, you see as the first one woman and then the other seems to politely finish their meal and escape his grasp. You overhear bits and pieces of what sounds like him trying to convince them to meet with him again later, to which they politely decline.
Approach, give him, or approach after, I don't know, 30 seconds or something.
As you come up to the table, he turns to you and says, I assume Brady, you're with him.
Correct, yeah.
You're not staying in the back watching. And he says, Mr. Wright, Mr. Brady, it's good to see you again.
I'm watching his reactions very closely to see if he's nervous to talk to us, see if he reveals anything with certain keywords that we're saying. But
Can you give me a psychology roll? Oh, jeez.
full hundy. That's my
That's a
second of the
100.
campaign, I think. Or did maybe Watts had the other one, I can't remember. But
Yeah, I think you had a 99 or something. Excuse me.
the weather's been better, I'll start with.
The weather's positively atrocious. What are you talking about, man?
How is it down here in the lower decks?
Well, you've probably heard some of the upset. We've got people who are none too happy in terms of their physical fitness with taking these high seas in stride. And, well, the close quarters in the bunks doesn't make that any easier. You keep your lunch down when the person above you and the person above them are both rushing well into the night. You know,
That's
they
gotta be
stack us 12 to a room.
That is
That's pretty rough.
something.
That can't be easy.
Any news for us? What have you been up to?
News indeed. Well, Mr. Your Mr. Hughes here. He's been busy, but we should find someone more private to speak. Who knows what ears are listening to us around here? I suppose. Well, we can't exactly go out onto the deck, but
I imagine very few will be appreciating the rain.
I suppose that's true. Maybe we can stand under the overhang on the upper decks if you'll escort me up there. The crew won't say otherwise. It's
Lead the way.
Yeah, it'd certainly be better than trying to stand out in the open on the steerage deck. It's would leave us completely exposed to the rain, though I can't imagine even with the overhang on the port or starboard side up on the upper class that will avoid getting too wet.
Things are half as bad down here as you say. I'm sure you can appreciate some fresh air.
That's probably true, and I will say that yes, there is a bit of a rank smell of basically human sweat and retch that is kind of a miasma upon this deck. You make your way out and walk together up to the steps. Truth be told, it's not like they post a guard stopping people from coming upstairs, but obviously if a whole bunch of people from steerage were just ambling around on the upper decks, they'd probably be escorted down before too long. But it's not something that is actively policed. He could probably get up there no problem, and wander about on his own without causing too much trouble. You find your way to one of the side exits to the outer deck, and opening it, rain whips your face, but it comes, it seems, in fits and starts, depending on the tilt of the ship. Essentially, as it goes one way, more rain comes in, and as it goes the other, you become more or less shielded. But the deck is slick with wet, and you need to hold on to the rail for fear of losing your footing.
Pull my outdoor coat tighter to block some of the cold and wet.
Kind of making our way up there, and once we kind of get to the point where we're up above and getting fresh air and the rain's hitting us, holding my hat down and kind of trying to kind of maybe speak louder over the noise of the rain and everything, asking Mr. Hughes, so you've been down in steerage for so long, when was the last time you were able to breathe some fresh air?
Says, well, that's a funny story now that you should mention it. An apt one, too. Well, doesn't Mr. Hughes here have a story for you? I'll tell you, I found my way. I found my way up onto the deck last night, and you'll never guess who I saw up here.
Who was that?
Well, it wasn't our friends that have been down below, the suspicious ones. Mediterranean fellow and his friend. I was out here following them. Saw them come out of their bunk late in the evening and head upstairs. Just thought it's very strange heading up to the first class decks. And I saw them on their way up to the very upper levels. Now, mind you, I got accosted by a young crewman who thought it was a little strange that I was skulking around, and skulking around was what I was doing, I suppose. Can't really blame him for that. He escorted me back downstairs, and I waited there for a few moments before heading back up, and I kept myself to the shadows, kept a lookout. I knew that they'd probably be back. Well, don't you know it? Don't you know it? But I found them coming down the stairs, right towards me. They were carrying with them some kind of large square case. It was rather unusual in shape and size. They were bumping it down and seeming to try and be quiet about it. But rough seas, mind you, very rough seas, very difficult to move about quietly in them. The sound does cover for them at least with all of the noise of the rain and sleet. Well, I was able to follow them out onto the deck. They managed to head towards the bow, and I kept to the darkness as they made their way down. And wouldn't you know it, they heaved that thing right into the water.
So, listening to Hughes, is there anything about his story that sounds a little suspicious? Like, is I guess the tone of his voice or how he's saying it, maybe like mannerisms he's using.
You could also give me a psychology roll to try and read into to his mannerisms.
We'll say, ooh,
I will say, basically, with both of your failures, Hughes is an eminently suspicious man. He is somebody who seems to be born suspicious, seeming, and is difficult to read in that regard. He is a man who clearly is in it for himself. But does that mean he's in it for himself? That he's just looking to get paid versus there's more to it than that? You can't really say.
Does he look particularly fishy?
He does not look fishy in the literal or figurative sense. I guess more the figurative sense, not the literal.
yeah, with the 100, I think at this point, right, looks like the rough seas are finally getting to him, and he turns a little bit green. I'll be back in a moment, and heads towards the side of the ship to hurl.
Says, I hope your friend there is all right. Now tell me, did you get up to anything last night? Possibly on the bow?
On the bow. What makes you say that?
Well, it seemed that there was a commotion out there, and well, your old friend Hughes, he does find himself in interesting spots. Seem to see some things of an unusual nature.
You saw something. What did you see?
I don't know, some kind of scuffle, maybe a more deadly kerfuffle. Some people out there in the night who possibly were up to no good.
Did you by chance see facial descriptions? Do you actually know who they are?
Difficult to make out in the rain from up on top. I was up on the higher decks and looking down, taking a little smoke break after after losing those fellows when they went back down into their bunks. But it seems like it was well, from where I was standing, looked like a gunfight. It seemed unusual, people carrying guns out here on the boat.
I guess I guess I'm confused. I thought you got escorted back down because you were skulking.
Ah, that was
after-
earlier in the night. I
Okay.
never took an escort to heart, mind you. No reason not to go back where I don't belong if I can find my way there.
I see.
Right
Yeah.
makes his way back.
Oh, right. I guess. I guess Mr. Hughes had said that he had seen a scuffle up on the bow last night, kind of informing Mr. Wright back into the conversation.
And I give him a once over, and then light up a cigarette. Get some of that taste out of the mouth.
You have some difficulty lighting the cigarette with the wet, but eventually manage to get your lighter to strike true and pull a drag on the cigarette.
You are quite the active one, aren't you? As much as surprised you haven't had more information for us as much as you get around.
Well, mind you, I think the players in the little events going on here, are playing their hand close to their chest. But old Hughes, well, he has a feeling that those hands are going to be played soon enough. Potentially, whatever it was that was thrown overboard was something that they didn't want to be found.
This chest, give us more information about it. Did it look like? And then I give a brief description of our chest that was in the captain's room.
Why, yes. Were you there yourself? You seem to know exactly about this chest that they were getting rid of.
Give an exaggerated look of frustration. You said they threw it overboard?
Yes, they heaved it right over the side of the ship.
I give Benjamin a exasperated look. Why would they throw it overboard? They've been trying to get this from us before we even got on the ship. I don't understand.
Is there something you're not telling us, Mr. Hughes?
Old Hughes is as honest as the day is long.
Was there... You're sure you heard a splash? They couldn't have been giving it to someone out of sight.
Didn't seem like there was anybody they could have given it to. They walked right past the line of boats and the cover for the drop down into the lower levels where the storage is, well, the great heave. They put it on the side and pushed it right off the back.
Did they say anything? Did you hear anything that could explain why they would do that?
Oh, now you know it's very difficult to hear under such circumstances. Maybe you could jog my memory. I might have been able to pick something up.
Were they dressed in any particular way?
They seemed ready for the weather. They, knowing that it was raining, they were in long trench coats to keep the inclement weather and the rain out.
We've paid you an awful lot already, Hughes, and it seems that our payday at the end of this voyage is no longer on the table. So if you can at least give us a hint, I don't know that we can afford further services.
Well, you can't blame an old Irishman for trying. I can understand your problems, and maybe this information will, well, help you on your way, and you'll see fit to be able to keep my services employed further if something comes of it. I did not hear much. It seemed like that they were somewhat upset about having to send it over the side, and not too sure why exactly they had been told to. But they were definitely dead set upon their course, that this was required of them and that they shouldn't be doing anything further.
None of this makes any sense. They went through so much trouble and got our decoy already with the break-in into the bursar's vault. Why, after taking it from the captain himself, would they just throw it overboard? This is madness.
So you're saying that the first one was a decoy and the captain's room had the appropriate one stored in it? How did they get it from the captain's room then?
He's just shaking his head now. I don't know what we're gonna tell our employer. Thrown overboard in the middle of the sea. This is... If they at least took it, we would have had the journey, or the rest of the journey to take it back, but just throwing it overboard just doesn't make sense.
Would your employer take some small cat? Sorry, she's got me. Get out. Cat comes over and she's like, "Hey," but she's got really long claws right now, so she got stuck in my sweater. Sorry. He says, like, would your employer take any small comfort knowing that you found the culprits? Maybe we can yet track them down and provide some value.
Kind of brighten up a little bit at the suggestion. You're right. If we could at least bring these vandals to justice, perhaps we could at least get reimbursed for the trip home, and maybe not entirely lose our credibility.
And maybe he could help supply a little bit of currency to Mr. Hughes for aiding in that effort.
Nod. Trying to prop him up a little bit. I'll say, Hughes, it's obvious you're very very talented at what you do. And this last task we gave you, maybe you did a little bit too well, as they went to or bit the bait almost immediately, and it didn't even make it a night in the captain's quarters. To be honest, we expected them assailing, trying to break into the captain's quarters to get caught. If it's one thing to mess around in the belly of the ship, but to be so bold as to go at the captain's quarters itself, that's would have expected that to lead in their capture, but
And the captain wasn't in his quarters in the middle of the night sleeping. Normally he's only on deck during the day.
we'll have to get more information today. But
Very curious. Whatever these cultists were interested in, it seems like maybe the artifact was their true goal and not you yourselves.
out of character, how much have we talked about artifacts and cultists? Like we
So-
talked to him about the crawling chaos, which kind of pokes at the whole cultist thing, but
Yeah, so he was here for the first place to find you because your name among your companions were dropped by the cultists he was investigating in New York.
right. But did they specifically say that they were coming after an artifact or something?
I will go back to the early part of my notes on that. Just to make sure. My recollection was that no, but let me double check that.
As I don't remember. I remember us being pretty vague on what we were carrying, and I don't remember ever mentioning artifact or pretty much anything descriptive other than something in a suitcase.
Yeah, 1 second. Or actually, the document's probably an easier place.
Yeah, I don't think we had given him specifics.
Yes, so he had learned that they were targeting you. In terms of what you talked about, crawling chaos comes for Turkey. 2 individuals crawling chaos descriptions. Bribe Hughes $5 to get more information on the woman who's their leader. Flinders has been making up stories. Yeah. It's possible I'm not remembering correctly, but based on the notes and what I do remember, is that you had not been specific, particularly about the fact that you had a artifact of some kind. There were like obviously some connection to there may be something like this is like related to this in terms of his perspective on it, given the break-in, which he's aware of. But beyond that, he was ostensibly under the pretenses that you were the target, not that it was like some other kind of item.
I give Benjamin a glance. Well, we know at least those two individuals being involved, and the and we've shared that we've confirmed uh their ringleader is on board as well.
Sorry. He was aware that there was some kind of precious cargo related to you, but but that beyond that, like really vague, primarily knew that you were the target.
But
I
he
found
did
the original.
specifically just say artifact just now.
That was after you had said that, unless you were talking in camera.
I'm if I've said package or if I've said artifact, I meant I should have been
Okay.
saying package.
Well, I mean, maybe I screwed that up. I'm a little
Okay.
bit. So either way, no. So he did not drop a hint there of saying artifact if that wasn't tipped off to him.
Okay. Yeah, so far I think we've been really vague, saying stuff like package, carrying this for our employer. I don't. Yeah. If we did, definitely didn't mean to say specifically artifact.
Yeah, no, I may have just done that. So yes, roll back. No, yeah, like he is under the impression that like there may be some kind of important thing, but what that thing is,
Okay.
like, no idea. I just knew that like it was something to do with you, and primarily that you were like the related target in this, which had brought him aboard.
Just making sure we didn't have a gotcha there. All right. So we have at least 3 individuals involved here. One decently up the food chain. I'm not sure what their end game is, but if we could get them apprehended by the time we reach port with some hard evidence, that would at least go somewhat along the path of soothing the wound we've just caused our employer.
Well, I'll certainly keep my ear to the ground for you and tell you if I find out anything more, and see if I can't follow those fellows around anymore to see what they're up to. Presumably, the job may well not be done. It's hard to say whether, from my own information, as to whether whatever it was that they were after was truly their end goal. If not, that they have some specific interest in you and your companions directly. It seems like you've found yourself involved in some interesting situations, given your reporting in the past.
So, from your information, they didn't hint that they were interested in anybody else besides us on this voyage.
No, definitely not. You were the marks for sure. It was your name in particular that I recognized, being a fellow journalist.
Was there other names?
You too, Mr. Brady. Other than that, I did not recognize the other names. I think there was another W name. It was maybe your friend Watts.
Do you know how many names?
I think 4 at most.
It's going to be hard to catch them in the act if we were the only target, and they've already succeeded in whatever it is they were planning. Perhaps we could. Did you see them check the box?
No, I can't say that the box was opened. Maybe it was before I saw them carrying it downstairs, of course. You say it came from the captain's quarters in the night. That would certainly indicate maybe that they did not open it. But otherwise, I have no way to know how long they had it. Simply that they came down the stairs with it after going up to the top level.
I'll look at Benjamin. maybe if we convinced them that they didn't already have the package, maybe if we were lucky enough that they didn't actually look inside, um, we could maybe find another box that's a similar size. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. If we're gonna find, or if we're gonna bring them to justice, we're gonna have to catch them in the act of something. We need evidence.
Yeah. And I think trying to find another diversion is probably a good idea because, not necessarily a diversion, but a decoy of sorts, make them think that maybe what they have is either not it or there's something else. Um, I don't know. It's a very tricky situation. Might require a little bit of time to think about it.
We'll have to get back to you on that, Hughes, and talk to our group. This information is very troubling. Well, at the very least, the captain will be looking for who's responsible for breaking into his quarters if he has if he's been found evidence of tampering. Maybe they've messed with the lock or something. Though it will
If even
be
the captain's quarters aren't safe, who knows what on the ship you can keep something with the secure storage already being broken into.
that was our thoughts. Seemed the only other secure place on the ship.
It was smart to leave it with the captain rather than down there in the first place.
We were too bold to be blatant about bringing it there, though. That was a mistake. But
Truly, where else would you have kept it that would have been any more secure?
well, the place was ideal, but the we were too brash to have you leak the information that we had stored it there.
Oh, old Hughes did not leak any information. Swear to on my mother's grave.
Didn't we pay him to spread the rumor that we'd moved it to the captain's quarters?
I thought you had spread the rumor that it was not taken. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was not that it was specifically in the captain's quarters, but that it was that. But that the thing there was still something around. Hold on, let me go back.
Okay, I mean that'd be
It's
good
been
enough.
A few weeks, I might be getting that wrong.
Either one works. That either one would be good enough. But if they had broken into the captain's quarters, they must be evidence and
No, you're right. You did give him misleading information. I thought you gave him misleading information that it was with the captain, but that I don't know that you told him specifically to spread it. At least my notes don't say that.
either way works. Whether he spread that it was the first one was a decoy but regardless, we're gonna have to figure out a way to find evidence that that the captain's quarters was broken into without making it without it being suspicious that we're investigating it, without it being reported, because we certainly don't want to be fingered for having done this.
Well, tell me if there's any further ways I can aid you. I assume that keeping an eye on those two fellows and the person that they're reporting to is the most logical course of action. Beyond that, I don't know if there's anybody else that's suspicious up on board.
One question, Mr. Hughes. Are you having conversations with these men?
I have had a few before, not in the last couple of days, however.
Okay. In any of those conversations, has it ended in them giving you their pocket change?
Well, now, I wouldn't be a proper journalist if I wasn't working every angle. I will say that I did part with a few pennies here and there, but I didn't give them anything too important. Just a few tidbits that kept them on a short leash.
So you did take their money.
Yeah, of course.
Your interest in this nefarious organization, you intend to publish this, or is this a private curiosity?
Publish it, of course. Not until it's all said and done, mind you. I don't want to tip my hand. But I have invested significant personal capital in first ingratiating myself with the group in New York to find the information that I needed to be able to find my way here. But I never made my way so high as to be able to be face to face with the leader that seems to be on board. Simply made an acquaintance of the fellows that are in the lower decks, but they don't know me too well. They only know me in passing.
Well, mine was a personal curiosity, and they've already wronged me, so it can't hurt to provide additional information to you and bringing this to light. So, um, I'll share with you all the notes that I've taken so far. If it goes a way to help ensure your aid in the future.
That would be excellent. I'm happy to do the same if you'll give me a day to collect my notes and put them together in a format that's ready to be shared. My shorthand, unfortunately, isn't exactly the most friendly to outside eyes.
I'll do the same.
Says, well, I'm sure you'll be want to be on your way then. Is there anything that you would want our friends to know if I run into them again?
I'm gonna look at Mr. Wright with a look of the faintest shake of like just a head nod, like a no head nod, like, and then maybe say like, we might be seeing you sooner than later. Regarding this situation, it might require a little bit more thought before we can go forward with giving you any direction. And then look towards Mr. Wright to give his.
No, our future purse strings are a bit tighter with this development. We will be able to scrounge something up if we can find a way to bring these criminals to justice. It's gotten personal now.
Food is something I could always bring you something of a matter of taste, a coffee, a pastry. Just I guess give me ideas maybe in our coming meetings, and I could maybe bring something to you from up above.
Well, unfortunately, this boat full of teetotalers is a complete turnoff. If they happen to have any more more interesting beverages for the upper class, it wouldn't harm for them to come down to myself below decks.
We'll come to some arrangement. Until next time, Hughes. And as we're walking away, I'll say to Benjamin, I don't know how we're going to tell the others.
Yeah, Benjamin will just sigh pretty loudly.
So I hate to call it early, but coughing in my throat. I'm struggling. That was a good couple things that we knocked out, though. I'm glad we got on, and hopefully we're all back to full health next week.